Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bridge Talks with Patricia Barbosa. We have a special presentation from Patricia Barbosa from IIPC, who will be presenting about lucid projections. So welcome, Patricia.
Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here with you and Isaac.
Great. So I'd just like to give a little bit of background information about Patricia before she starts. So Patricia is a medical physicist and has been a conscientiology instructor since 2009. And she is currently acting as a coordinator of IIPC's international sector. Okay, so now Patricia, I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our talk. Feel free to write questions on our chat, make some comments, and let's interact the most we can, okay? Let's make it a very interesting and dynamic debate. We can start right now with the slides. Okay, so we're going to talk about lucid projection, which is also known as out-of-the-body experience. But first of all, I'd like to remember the disbelief principle, or the principle of disbelief, which is a cornerstone here in conscientiology, which states that you should not believe in anything, not even in what you are told here. Experiment, have your own personal experiences, meaning we're inviting you to be lucid, critical, with a nice criticism, thinking, reflecting, and also debating about these things here. We're not here to show you any absolutely truths, and we're here to construct a science. So this principle of disbelief is very important. So feel free to think and disagree and express your opinion and share your experience as well. Okay? The next one. So what are we going to do today? How are we going to conduct this talk? We're going to talk about lucid projection. So what is it? We're going to try to answer these questions. What is it? What is the lucid projection phenomenon? How can I do it? Right? And what is it for? Okay, so let's try to answer all these questions during our talk here. What is lucid projection? Probably you've all have already heard about out-of-the-body experiences, astral travel, or corporeal perceptions. Yeah, you can click on that as well, please. Next. So here we have some synonyms about astral travel, astral projection, astral corporeal experiences. Also, near-death experiences are also interpreted as lucid projections, and they really are a very extreme type of a lucid projection, Lucid dreams. Many people think that lucid dreams are lucid projections. We actually don't like this designation very much because a projection, an out-of-the-body experience, is not a dream. Okay? We're going to talk a little bit about this difference between lucid projections and dreams, and you'll be able to understand why I don't quite like this designation here, comparing lucid projections to lucid dreams, because they are physiologically different in a spatial location separate from one's living human body, which is this breathing soma of ours, Passage of the consciousness from the intraphysical state to a projected state. So here we have A more technical definition, it is from the treatise Projectiology. This treatise is available online, free of charge. You can download it and you can study very good material, a lot of references regarding lucid projection. So here's the thing, I'm talking about a treatise, and when we talk about treatise and projectiology, we start to think about science. So the thing is, the new science projectiology has arose a long time ago. Before 1986, we had a scientific approach on these phenomena, the OBE, viewed by the parapsychology. So parapsychologists usually try to study phenomena in parapsychic phenomena in a more scientific way. Or it was a religious and mystical approach. We have different branches of knowledge, religious, mystical, philosophical, that try to explain lucid projection, okay? But in 1986, the treatise Projectiology was launched. And here is a mark for the science or the scientific approach of these phenomena. In 1988, the IIP, International Institute of Projectiology, was founded by Valdo Vieira. And he did that in order to really avoid all these religious and mystical approaches and studied the phenomenon, okay? In 1994, we had the 700 conscientiology experiment launched, and then in 1996, we officially switched the name to IIPC because we incorporated conscientiology as well. So this is the institution or the path of constructing this new science through the foundation of institutions, secular institutions, non-mystical institutions, in order to study this phenomenon of lucid projection, okay? So the thing is, what is the human true nature, if we can say something like that? Because I was looking online, if you just Google OBE or astral travel, you perceive that there is a lot of scientists, neuroscientists for the conventional science, that are trying to explain out-of-body experiences as a brain phenomenon, as a physiological brain activity. So actually, they are denying the existence of a soul, of an ego that is separated from the physical, biological body. So here's the question for you all. What may be the human true nature? So as far as we understand, and these are based on our research of self-experimentations and lots of publications on this topic, we understand that we have the consciousness is not the physical body, okay? But these bodies can be interpreted as vehicles of manifestations. So essentially, I'm a consciousness, I'm a self, ego, a thinking element, Consciousness is fundamental. And I use different bodies to manifest myself in different dimensions. So you can see at this picture here that we have this holosoma. What is the holosoma? It is the set of our bodies. So we have the soma, which is the physical body, this biological one that you're perceiving, you're watching there. You're looking at the screen of your computer or of your phone, and you're actually seeing me. This is my physical body. But we also have an energosoma, which is an energetic body, which is actually permeates the physical and also the astral body, also called the psychosoma. So in order to have OBEs, in order to have lucid projections, we'll be entering different dimensions. So we need our other vehicles in order to reach a different dimension. So these vehicles are the energosoma, because sometimes you can just project your energies by exteriorizing your energies. And sometimes if you are accurate enough, you can even just by exteriorizing your energies, perceiving some smells or some sensations like cold or heat, you know? So this energetic projection as well of your energosoma. But the psychosoma is the more interesting one because this is the one that we really fully reach the extra physical dimension or a non-physical dimension. Meaning, through the psychosoma, I really can switch or change the place of my consciousness, of the manifestation of my consciousness. I really dislocate my consciousness from one body to the physical body to another body in order to experience and just work with this other body, just control this other body and experience another dimension, you know? And we also have the mental soma, which is another extra physical body, more subtle one. And the thing is, could you go further, please, in the slides? Multidimensionality. I think this is related to our true nature, you know? We are multidimensional beings. And when we're talking about lucid projection, OBEs, we are talking about starting to take this veil of our eyes and starting to see, perceiving, and facing a different type of reality, a more expanded and larger reality, which includes different dimensions. And one key to access these multiple dimensions is the bioenergies, because these different bodies of ours, they are made of energy, essentially, you know? So if we're able to master our energies, I don't know if you have ever heard about vibrational states or exteriorizing your energies, receiving energies, perceiving energies in the environment, or perceiving someone else energetic pattern. Sometimes when you're interacting with someone and you're feeling fine, but then you have this strange and heavy conversation, and then you're not feeling so fine, but not in an emotional way, in an energetic way. So the key for us to switch dimensions is really to master our energies, because the other dimensions, the non-physical dimensions, they are more subtle, okay? They are not only a place in a different space made of energy. Multiple dimensions are not really that. They're also a construction of our thoughts, sentiments, and the projection of our energies, you know? Which is another basis of this pillar of this new science. Projectiology as a science is based on some fundamental pillars that we call paradigm. And multidimensionality, bioenergy, and the thoughts, which is the thought, sentiments, and energies, are some of these pillars. So why do we need to include these things in order to discover the human true nature? Because we need different scientific approach in order to understand and try to explain, and better than that, try to experience this parapsychic phenomenon, okay? So we're just enlarging, broadening our scientific approach. So projectiology is not an ordinary science based on Newtonian Cartesian mechanicism. It is a new science with a new approach, but very structured approach as well, okay? And the thing is, we're interested right now in our actually out-of-the-body experiences. So if I'm interested in lucid projections and develop my parapsychism and mastering my energies because I want to have out-of-body experiences, one clever thing to do is try to understand this vehicle, also called astral body, that we manifest ourselves in a non-physical dimension, which we also called extra-physical dimension. For instance, here is the psychosoma. What are the characteristics of the psychosoma? Because you may be wondering that, okay, Patricia, you're telling me that I am a consciousness, and consciousness is fundamental, and I can just switch dimensions by my will, and in order to do that, I needed to work with a different vehicle, like dressing a different clothes. Okay, you're telling me that, but how can I be sure that I am in an extra physical dimension? How can I be sure that I am not really this physical body that I look at the mirror every day when I woke up in the morning? First thing is to understand what are the characteristics of the other bodies. So if you understand this, you'll be able to perceive and recognize that you have another body. But if you know nothing about psychosoma, I quite agree with you. It's going to be very difficult for you to recognize that you're manifesting yourself with a different body. Okay? So here it comes. First of all, we call this a para body because it's para is everything that is not in this intraphysical dimension. What are the characteristics? What are the features of the psychosoma? It is less dense than the human body. Remember, all these vehicles are made of energy. One more dense, like this one, and the others are more subtle. So psychosoma is less dense than human body. It irradiates its own light. So if you just look at your hand right now, is it shining? Is it glowing? If you say no, it is not shining, it's glowing, it's not glowing. So probably we are here in the intraphysical dimension right now with our body. But if I asked you this question and you perceive that your body is a bit translucent, you can see through it, it irradiates its own light, you start to wonder, am I really in the intraphysical dimension? Is this really, maybe it is an extracorporeal experience, maybe a preview from the lecture that we are having right now, and the lecture is actually tomorrow. So my question for you is, you're not sleeping right now. How do you know that? How do you are so sure that you are awake right now and that you're manifesting yourself with your body? Well, because you know this dimension, don't you? You understand the place that you are inside your house. You know that is the physical dimension. You're probably there sitting on a chair. You know it's a physical dimension. Your body is not going through the chair down. So you will also understand the characteristics of your soma, your physical body. And you can say, okay, I'm in this physical dimension. So the thing is, another characteristic of the psychosoma, in order for you to check in which dimension you are, is that it is elastic. It is permeable, so sometimes you can go through walls when you're manifesting yourself with a psychosoma. And it is permeable, it's malleable, so you can also have these self-transfigurations. You can change your appearance by the will of your thought, by your own will and your thought. You can just imagine that you are a different form, maybe me, not a woman, but maybe a man, not dressing this clothes, but more ancient clothes. I can just change the shape of this para body, So these are called self-transfigurations. And this is a property only of the psychosoma, not this body here. And there is the insertion of the silver cord. So what is the silver cord? It is this cord that you can look at the picture there that is connecting the psychosoma to the physical body, because we have this connection. You're here manifesting yourself with another body and it is connected. You're not dead, because actually the soma is when you disconnected them and you totally disconnected this body, and you're going to manifest yourself exclusively in the extra-physical dimension. So if you're not dead, you have a soma, a physical body. And while you're in the extra-physical dimension, you can perceive this cord, this silver cord made of energy. Usually it goes out from the back of your neck, your paraneck, actually, the back of your head, and it connects you to the physical body, So one technique, and here comes a tip, one technique that I used for some time in order to know if I was projected, if I was dreaming, or if I was in a intraphysical dimension, is checking for the insertion of the silver cord. So I was trying to train and to develop my lucid projectability. And it was a period in my life that I was really focused on that, applying techniques and started remembering some dreams, remembering some experiences. And sometimes I was walking in the middle of the streets and I get confused. Okay, whoa, am I awake or am I really in another dimension? Is my body sleeping? And I just very subtly, I just passed the hand right like here through my head, but actually I was trying to grab the silver cord, It is one technique that we have this. You just do that, see, just check. Am I with a silver cord? No, it's not. See, you can perceive that there is no silver cord here. So I'm manifesting myself with this body. But if we were in the extra physical dimensions, probably we would be able to grab our silver cord. This is a very interesting experience for you to do when you're in the extra physical dimension. And it's for sure, if you're able to grab this energetic cord, you can be sure that you're manifesting yourself through the psychosoma. Okay? The next slide, please. One interesting thing about knowing the psychosoma is that it is our emotional parabody, So psychosoma, and we like this name. When we are building a new science, sometimes we choose carefully the name of the bodies or the concept that we're going to express, because psychosoma is related to emotions. And we understand this subtle body, the psychosoma, as an emotional para body. And why is that important? Because lucid projection could be a very rich tool for self-research, and self-research is another pillar of conscientiology. So, for instance, what would be a nice way to use your lucid projections? If you can have an agenda, a night schedule, but not when you're awake, a sleep schedule, and you want to understand better your emotional reactions, especially these days, now that we are all confined, isolated in our homes due to the COVID-19. Maybe sometimes we have very strong emotions, some repressed emotions that we do not pay attention in our very busy day life activities. Now we are able to face them. So let's see, or let's just ask if any of you there are just discovering new emotions or just unclosing these new emotions. What would be nice to do? We can use the lucid projection as a self-research tool. Because while I am in the extra physical dimension, and the psychosome is this emotional parabody, so it's very difficult for me to hide my emotions in this dimension, So it's easier for me to perceive when I'm altered and how much I am altered, if I'm angry, if I'm too happy, if I'm hurt. Maybe someone did something to me. I said, oh, that's okay. But then I go out of my body, go to sleep, go out of my body, just go to the house of the person and put my finger in front of the person's face and you did that to me because of that and that. I didn't like it, In this dimension, I'm all restrained, I am actually not expressing myself in a very strong emotional way because I can really hold these emotions back inside this human body, dense human body. And when you go out in the extra physical dimensions, you perceive yourself doing things like that. So this is a very good tool for self-research and also self education, emotional self-education, and also recycling. Okay, so these are some interesting goals. I want to change that. I don't want to be that angry. I want to change that. Okay, so you can have this goal. Work with your emotions in the extra physical dimension. Just try to balance your psychosoma, which is your emotional part of body, in the extra physical dimension. Uh, don't be afraid to look deep inside your own emotions. It's a good thing to do it in the extra physical dimension. Another interesting thing is for us to really discover our real intentions, which it has to deal with cosmoethics. So, cosmoethics is an enlarged concept of ethics, that it is related to respecting everyone, it is related to hoping that the best for everyone happens in all the occasions. When we're talking about a greater and larger ethics, it just goes beyond human ethics, and human laws, and we start to connecting ourselves with the parallels or the cosmos flow, the natural evolution flow, and we have some set of rules, which are the cosmoethics, and cosmoethics is really connected to our real intention. Okay, so I'm going outside of my body. What for? I'm going to meet that person. What for? What is my real intention? Is that any hidden agenda there? This is something interesting for us to think about. Okay. Uh, Jacqueline, do we have any questions right now? So far, so good. How are things? Can we continue?
Hi. Yes, we have one question actually from
Mhm.
Cristiano Regnier. He asked, how is the psychosoma related with the bioenergies and other consciousnesses?
Oh, that's an interesting uh, question. So essentially, the psychosoma is related to bioenergies through energy and consciousness can be the two greatest reality. As a hypothesis, we have this hypothesis that the universe is made of consciousness, which is the intelligent principle, and energy, you know? So psychosoma is an energetic body, and the consciousness is just shaping and working with energy, you know? All of our environments are energetic environments, you know? So the thing is, everything around us is energy. And one nice thing for you to try to develop maybe is your sensibility or how accurate your extra physical perception is related to the changing your emotions. For instance, my psychosoma, your psychosoma, is the parent body of emotions, right? Let's say that I enter a place that I connected to someone, and out of a sudden, I have a great energetic impact from that environment and from that person. Okay, I perceive my energy as well. I can understand and discriminate this energetic impact, but the context is manifest in a prosemic way with thoughts, sentiments, and energy. One nice thing for us to do in order to develop our emotional maturity is to try to perceive how these energies impact on your psychosoma, how they affect the physiology, or better, the paraphysiology of your psychosoma. Are you entering a vibrational state? Are you being blocked? Is your cardiac chakra blocked uh, as a result of that impact? Are you angry? Are you reacting without thinking? And how does the event change this paraphysiology? If the cytosome are very connected or loaded with very dense energy, so you can perceive that as well. Sometimes you go to the extra physical dimension, you're not able to gravitate. You know, the dreams that people think that they're flying, this is the gravitation. But sometimes you leave your body with your psychosoma. The psychosoma is so loaded with dense energy that you cannot go up or go to other dimensions. You're almost walking in the extra physical dimensions, which is not necessary. Because in the extra physical dimension, thought is action. You think about something or someplace, you just go there instantaneously. You know? And the thing is, if you perceive yourself in the extra physical dimension, loaded with these dense energies, and your lucidity is very low, just try to exteriorize, just exteriorize these energies through your from your psychosoma. So this is one way that you're gonna be lighter. Your level of lucidity may increase. You probably will be doing, if that's your intention, you can also do some assistance while you're exteriorizing that dense energy, assist the environment around you, the consciousness around you, and, and enlarge your lucidity and try to validate. So these are some examples that the psychosoma is related to bioenergy and energetic flow. Okay, Luciana, thank you for your question. If you don't have any other questions, we can resume the presentation. Okay, great. So here, so the idea is this one. What is this phenomenon? We're talking now about the phenomenon and some characteristics of the para body in order for you to try to do that. Simply go out of your body with the city. You know? And here's the thing. Now it comes the question, how can I do, actually do an out of the body experience? How can I promote this phenomenon? There are several and several techniques. This is a very short talk, and we're not able here to explain a lot of techniques, but I recommend you to read the treatise projectiology. There are over 30 techniques for you to leave your body with lucidity, okay? But what are the things that I'd like to discuss with you right now? But before you try to do or try to have this phenomenon, promote this phenomenon, it is interesting. The one step before, how do you identify the projective phenomenon? Because sometimes if you're not used to how to use a lot of signals occur. Sometimes the extra physical dimension is different or similar to the intraphysical one, and you just get lost. So one thing that I'd like to introduce in our talk here is exactly this. How to identify the projective phenomenon in order not to abort them, in order not to cancel it. If I'm having an out of the body experience and I don't know, how can I identify all the related phenomena that comes along with it, so that I won't be spooked and abort the mission, you know? So the thing is, two things. There are some signals prior to lucid projection. When you lay on your bed and when you go to sleep, okay? And there are some characteristics of the physical dimension that will help you to identify the projective phenomenon as well. So let's talk a little bit about these signals prior to lucid projection. So imagine that you're trying to apply. So next slide, please. Imagine that you're trying to apply a technique. So you're just comfortably laying on your bed, and the temperature in your room is okay. No one is around to interrupt you. The lights are very down, so everything is fine. Okay? And then you start perceiving a deep physical relaxation. It is a signal. Okay, But she said, but when I go to sleep, I really enter in a very deep physical relaxation. Okay, but probably when you go to sleep, there is this coincidence of our dreams. You probably don't have a projection. If they're lucid or not, only you can tell. Sometimes it's numbness. Why? Why numbness? Because you're trying to perceive another dimension. And sometimes when you're going to sleep, you're falling asleep, you start experiencing an hypnagogic state. So sometimes you perceive that as numbness. Belonging, which is the sensation that you're inflating like a balloon. It is your energies that are expanding, your energies are expanding. Maybe you can perceive dizziness as well. So don't be afraid. Why? Because when these bodies are detached, they're getting loose. And sometimes it's a partial means projection, an arm or your foot. And sometimes you're perceiving this looseness of your vehicle. And you perceive them like this, doing something like this. And sometimes you get dizzy because the energies are moving, your psychosoma are just swinging, and you really feel this kind of dizzy. Vibrational states may overcome some chakra activation. Sometimes you activate your chakras by your will or not, you know. Intracranial sound, this is important in order the person won't be spooked. Sometimes a lot of noise inside our head, clairvoyance, you see things in other dimensions, clairaudience, you start hearing sounds that are not physical. So these are signals prior to the projection. Just relax and try to focus on maintaining your lucidity and getting out of your body. Okay? So the thing is, there are many other signs. Okay, so be attentive to them. Don't be afraid. And if you perceive any of these signs, just take advantage of it and go with the moment and focus on having a lucid projection. Another thing that we can talk about is the extra physical dimensions, unless we have another question.
Yes, we do actually, Patricia. We have two questions, but the first question is from Margaret Belly. She makes a question. So it is correct to say that we are all multidimensional beings?
Well, Margaret, I think so. This is my experience. But the thing is, one very important thing in a science, we're not fully and entirely corrected. But all the evidences have shown until today that it could be corrected for you to say that. But remember that in conscientiology, we work with verpons, which is the leading edge relative truths. So it is a truth, but it's relative. Maybe from some point on, we discover that these dimensions that we are manifesting ourselves are something else. Who knows? And we are going to call them a different name. We're going to perceive this expanded reality, even more expanded in a different way. So I would say yes, we can say that our true nature is multidimensional beings. And I also say yes, maybe 1,000 years from now, we will perceive this reality in a more evolved way and in a different way. And this is the basis for scientific construction of knowledge. Okay?
And we're almost out of time, but I'll just give you the last question here. Virginia, who is, she asks, how can we remember more or have more memories about our out-of-body experiences after we return to the intraphysical dimension?
Oh, that's a good one. So we also have a lot of techniques to remember or recollection techniques. And the thing is, first of all, you should keep a good memory in the intraphysical dimension because when you're recollecting extraphysical events, you're bringing it or you're downloading it from your parabrain of your psychosoma inside your brain. So essentially, you need to work with your brain. It must be a good receptacle, you know? So healthy feeding or exercises, memory exercises if you don't have a very good memory. And the other thing is uh, write everything. Start a new routine of writing your dreams, you know, dreams or lucid projection, I don't know, question mark, but write them down. So you're going to exercise your memory. And there are a lot of techniques for you to remember lucid projection. But the thing is, when you wake up in your bed, don't try to stand very quickly or don't move your body abruptly, okay? Just stay there and try to think and remember. If you remember a flash, for instance, concentrate on that flash in a very relaxed way and try to focus on that and see if something else comes. Another technique that I used a long time ago, you can also gently put your finger on your forehead because this is a position that reminds us that, oh, I'm thinking, I remember, but you're also activating or stimulating your frontal chakra, you know? So, but a very gentle movement, you just still lying down, just do this. Or you can just move your head very gently as well, you know? Because this helps with our coincidence of the vehicles. And then you're starting remembering flashes, ideas, scenario, okay? So these are some tips. But one good other thing for us to understand, so I was talking about dreams, weren't I? I was talking about remembering and writing down, taking notes of your dreams as a technique. So here I'd like to say something about the difference between dreams and lucid projections. Let's talk, if you don't have another question, let's talk a little bit about the extra physical dimension. Then we go back on questions, okay? The slides, please.
Just to let you know that we're coming close to the end time, so but I will pass you to the slides now.
Yes. So the thing is, these are some signs prior to lucid projection. And another tip that I gave you is to pay attention to the extra physical dimension, because if you're able to perceive that you're not in this dimension, it's going to be easier for you to identify the phenomenon, and it's going to be easier for you to identify if that lucid projection technique is good for you or not, okay? So next slide, please. So essentially, the extra physical dimension may be different. You can awake extra physically in a different scenario, which is very awkward, or you cannot compare with this dimension. Pay attention to that. You can test your vehicle of manifestations now that you know these features of the psychosoma. Just test them. Just test them if you can go through a wall. And perceive the paratroposphere. Paratroposphere is this dimension here, dense, that's very similar to the intraphysical dimension. So here comes the question. Could I be dreaming about all of this? Or is it a real extra-physical experience, an out-of-body experience, for instance? So here are some tips for you. I'm going just to spot just the main differences. Next slide, please. Just the main difference between dream and lucid projection. One is this one. In a dream, you're a passive spectator of events. In a lucid projection, you have this active role. You have decision-making abilities. You are in control. Like this intellectual capacity is equal and commonly surpass that which is available to us in the ordinary waking state. When you're dreaming, your reasoning capacity is diminished. Okay? Usually, when you're remembering a dream, they are random memory of images and sometimes even nonsense. And the lucid projections are possible to remember events in their entirety, down to smaller details, and they start making sense. Sometimes you just remember parts of them, but they start making sense, you know? So here is the tip for you. How can I really know if I'm dreaming or having a lucid projection? Apply techniques. Start writing down your memories. Doesn't matter if they're dreams or lucid projection. And after a while, you will perceive a pattern on your manifestation and you'll be able to differentiate a dream from a lucid projection. So the thing is, experiment, okay? And repeat this on and on and on in order to try to master these parapsychic abilities. Okay, guys? That's what I'd like to talk to you. And just for you here, a final question. What are your goals regarding the development of parapsychism and OBE? So this is for you to think about, wonder about this, okay? What are your personal goals regarding the development of these phenomena? Okay, next, please. Here are some things that people usually answer. Are your intentions cosmoethicals? You want to develop OBE to do interassistance. You want to have retrocognitions to access past lives. You want to have reconciliations. You want to have a more healthy conviviality. So I want to reconciliate with people. Meeting in advance in the extra-physical dimension could be a solution. Evolution, self-knowledge, you name it, okay? These are just some examples, but write down your own goals, okay? That's it, guys, and very quickly, so we are reaching the end of our presentation, and I'd like to invite you, if you're interested in developing, researching, exchanging knowledge and experience about lucid projection, out-of-body experience, come join us at the 60th Projectology International Conference, okay? It's gonna be an online event from the 13th to 15th of November this year. And we have some very special guests. Could you please, next? Just like Charles Tart, Dean Radin, which are very known, important psychologists and parapsychologists. We also have Alexandre Moreira, which is a national guest lecturer. They simply research these in the universities, in the academic field. Here is going to talk a little bit about near-death experience. And we also have some guests in conscientiology. They're going to talk about the projectology campus, Marcelo Silva, which is an epicon, talking about ECP2 and lucid projection, Cesar Cordioli as well. And we also have Pedro Fernandes, who is going to talk about dyspraticity, which is a very interesting topic, and also these past lives, how to access past lives, and also Ivo Valente, which is projectile therapy, a technical application of projectile therapy. Okay, guys? So thank you very much for joining us, and I'd like to invite you for the next The Bridge Talks, which will be on the 3rd of October. And we're going to, Weber Takaki is going to talk about existential seriality. So I hope to see you in this next talk. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you, Isaac, for this opportunity.
And thank you very much, Patricia, for your presentation. It was very informative. And we hope to see you again at a later stage.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.